coming out of that, I left the foster care system at about 16 and became a young mom. And I was just on that track of, is life going to go one way or is it going to go the other way? And I found aviation and I found air traffic control.
Hello, my name is Lakshmi Ajay and I'm an associate editor with Stack Media. Today I'm in conversation with Kendra Kincade. She is the CEO and president of Elevate Aviation and she is going to join us for this conversation. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Kendra, I wanted to start by asking you that Alberta is well positioned to be Canada's next aviation hub. The Alberta government has recently announced a $5 million investment to diversify the aviation industry and help position the province as Canada's aviation hub. This funding is reportedly dedicated to create interest in aviation careers in Alberta. And the funding is used to open seats in Elevate Aviation programs and establish not-for-profit training provider which offers skills developments and career explorations. What can you tell us about this initiative and how many people are set to benefit from this initiative?
Well, the province of Alberta will be happy to hear that they're set to be the next big hub. I agree with that. I'm working towards it and I really hope it happens. First, I want to thank the province of Alberta and specifically Minister Brian Jean, who is the Minister of Jobs, Economy and Northern Development, who gave us this funding and saw that there was, a real need for this funding. So the $5 million that was awarded over the next 2 years is going to allow Elevate Aviation to expand the programs that we already have and continue to work on the ones that we do. So we're going to be able to really help people get them skilled and get them into the aviation industry in the shortest amount of time possible and really just get into those careers that, people just don't know about. And so we're able to offer them exposure to careers as well.
So pivoting off of this question, you're also going to be, part of a documentary on aviation, which is going to release very soon on many platforms. Can you tell us a bit about, what it entails and what can we expect to see there?
Absolutely. So over the last year, I've traveled around to make a documentary called Only Up. It's going to be playing in Canada on Super Channel. We'll find out where else it will be playing here shortly. But it is basically a journey to find out why aren't there more women in aviation. We really believe that you have to see yourself in an industry in order to really think about entering that industry. And that's what this film is designed to do. It's designed to hopefully inspire a whole generation to look at aviation, see themselves there, and come into the industry, which is what we all want.
While you were, speaking to different levels of people, and having conversations about aviation, what were some of the things that you could pick up on, especially when it came to interest of women who want to be in aviation?
The number one reason that we see that women don't want to come into aviation is really because they don't know what careers exist out there. And so this has been just a great journey to highlight some of the careers that are out there and show them up so that people can look at it and go, yeah.
In the documentary's promo, there's a very interesting line which says where you are speaking and telling the camera that aviation saved your life, and so how did it do that? And secondly, with this, the funds that the Alberta government is giving, how many people are set to benefit from this initiative?
Through our new funding program, we are hoping to have over 500 people in the next 2 years skilled up and into aviation careers. So we're really excited about that. As far as the documentary and that question about why I say that aviation saved my life, I think it's really because basically when I was 13, I ran away from home and I lived on the streets, and then I ended up in the foster care system. And then coming out of that, I left the foster care system at about 16 and became a young mom, and I was just on that track of, is life going to go one way or is it going to go the other way? And I found aviation and I found air traffic control, and that became an economic security for me that I could look after my own kids and really change my life. And there's a lot more to that story, but that's the gist of it. Was it really allowed me to have economic security. And then jump forward, I just had a passion to pay it back and help other women that might be in the same position. And how could I do that? My tool was aviation. So that's why Elevate was formed, to try to help other women. And in turn, it's helping the industry. So that was an added benefit that we didn't think about when we started this.
You are also speaking at a session at the World Cargo Symposium on attracting and retaining talent. Now, last year saw the aviation sector struggle with labor issues in many parts of the world. So the pandemic also contributed to a lot of talent leaving the industry. So what would be your take on how to attract and retain talent? And if you could tell us a few salient points from what you're going to be speaking about at the symposium.
What we've learned in order to attract people into the industry, they have to be educated. So whether that's, going to career fairs, going out to schools and talking to schools, the number one thing that I believe makes the biggest difference in the work that we do is we bring them into the aviation industry. So we have a program where we have 1 week. We bring the kids in from grade 5, junior high, high school, and we bring them in for an entire week, and they get to play with drones, and they get to go into the towers, and they get to go into the airports and aircraft maintenance, and they do a bunch of things in that week. And even the teachers want to be in aviation when they're done our week. So, that's a really big way to attracting people into the aviation industry. As far as retaining the people that we bring in, what we've noticed is that, so we go out of our way to bring women and underrepresented people into the aviation industry. But on our journey of doing this, we've discovered that sometimes the aviation industry isn't quite ready to retain the people that we're bringing in, because the policies and the procedures in place and the environment is not always ready to change as fast as we want to bring these people in. And so we have a program where we actually go into companies and we assess their culture, and we co-create with them to make changes on their culture, and work with their employees as well to help make that change, because we really see that there are policies that have to change. For example, I challenge companies maybe to look at their policies, because I know some companies, their benefits cover Viagra, but not menopause medication. Like, that's something I don't think anyone did on purpose. But as the industry changes, we have to look at those things.
What are the objectives and outcomes envisaged for the Elevate Aviation Learning Center?
So I'm really excited about the future of the Elevate Aviation Learning Center. Our 1 week program where we bring kids into the aviation industry, we are looking to take that at airports all across Canada and maybe globally as well. And the future of the Learning Center is to really continue to expand the programs. This funding is going to allow us to have a 10-week maintenance program, aviation skills readiness program, flight attendant program, introduction to air traffic control. We want to continue those programs and eventually have affordable housing and childcare on site, so people can come from all over the country or all over the world and learn and gain the skills they need to directly enter the aviation industry.
Could you tell us a bit about the expansion plans for your organization slated for this year? And, also talking about, like you said, you're on this mission to, help the industry retain good talent here. So anything on those lines, any announcements that are forthcoming?
Over the next year, we are going to really get our programs up and running from this funding that we received. And so that is our number one goal right now, is to get those programs up and running, and future thinking about having the affordable housing and childcare on site and expanding the learning center. And then as far as keeping people in, I just really challenge the industry to look at the policies and procedures in place. We really see that sometimes in companies, the top has got it. Like the CEOs, the executive, they all understand what needs to change, and they're saying the words that it needs to change. But we're still talking to the people on the hangar floor who are being harassed and abused, and they're reporting it and nothing's happening. So there's a huge gap in there that the industry really has to look at and fix.
And, while you're on this mission, what do you think are some of the big, obstacles for women to get into, let's say, air cargo careers? Is it that they do not know what roles exist, or, there's lack of exposure, or there's some kind of a mind block?
So we do a cross-country tour all across Canada. We're all over in provinces and territories across Canada. And we do this one-day tour where we bring girls in, expose them to careers for a day. We bring in speakers, and then we take them on a tour in the afternoon. And almost every single girl who comes through, or young woman that comes through, say to us, why haven't we heard of these careers before? And so we said, why haven't they heard of these careers before? And that's why we started our 1 week program. And then we have a 9-week program that brings women in and gets them the skills that they need, and like the radio operator's license, PPE if they need it, to help really bridge that gap and get them into careers. So the number one thing we hear over and over and over again is, why haven't they heard about these careers before? So one thing I do recommend is that companies actually put value on the employees to go into schools and talk, to go to career fairs, or set up what we do and bring people into the aviation industry. Because I think that companies are putting enough value on that. And yes, there's employees who might have a really good heart and go out and volunteer and do this, but I think there's a big opportunity that's missing by employers to put enough value on it that they will pay some of their passionate employees to go out and speak. And don't expect them to do it volunteer on their own time, because the benefit, the rich benefit that will come from that, it will be worth it.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.